everybody, and welcome back to Blue Jays Today. We're your boys. We always got something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playalog. And today, everybody, we are going to discuss some recent reports that have just come out detailing the Toronto Blue Jays' plans for this upcoming trade deadline. And I just want to come out and say right now, I think it's a big mistake. I think that Ross Atkins, just the entire strategy that we are going to talk about here, I disagree with it wholeheartedly, folks. So we're going to get into that. We're going to break everything down and more. Please hit the like, smash the subscribe button, guys. Let's get straight into it. So there's been a lot of speculation as to the best way to navigate this trade deadline. And it looks like we don't need to speculate that much more because the plans are slowly getting revealed.
Yeah, they are. We have a article right here by Mark Feinsand, and he is, of course, a industry expert. He's around the league. Executives come to him and reveal these kind of strategies of what is the word, who's selling what. And apparently, according to multiple executives, that the Blue Jays have told other clubs that they are willing to move players with expiring contracts, as we expected. But the big mistake here is those with control beyond 2024 are not being traded. This consensus among a dozen executives we spoke to is that the Blue Jays will attempt to move most or all of their rental players if they sell. Now, if you look at the rental players that the Blue Jays currently have, you're looking at guys like a Kevin Kiermaier, like a Justin Turner, a Yusei Kikuchi, Jimmy Garcia, Trevor Richards, and others, right? You're looking at those guys to potentially sell. However, as we've seen, their value is so low. If you look at them compared to other guys around the league, you're not going to get much return, meaning the Blue Jays trade deadline, this could be a very lackluster deadline.
That's what I don't like. Okay, of course you're going to trade the rental guys, right? That's we already knew that, basically. We knew that was going to happen at this point. I mean, they're, 9 games below 500 at the time of recording this video. Like, yeah, the rental guys are going to go. But those rental guys, they've lost a lot of that value, Danny Jansen, right? He was looking like an incredible piece for a little while there. And now it's like, part of me wants to hold on to him and you maybe try to extend him because you're not going to get that much value in return, right? He's been hitting pretty bad recently. So it's like, what are you actually going to get back for Danny Jansen? Yusei Kikuchi, coming off of a great outing, mind you, incredible outing, 13 strikeouts,
amazing,
phenomenal. But even he has been scuffling recently, right? And he's only going to have 1 or 2 more starts before another team is going to need to make a decision on how much they are willing to trade away for Yusei Kikuchi. The big guys that I look at this Toronto Blue Jays roster that you could actually get a return for, right? You could restock the farm system with It's a guy like Chris Bassett. It's a guy like Bo Bichette. I don't know how much you'd restock the farm system, but you could definitely get something in return. Oh, yeah. Chad Green, right? Like, somebody like that. Those guys, they're all on 2-year deals, right? And they're all on 2-year deals, and because of that, it warrants that much more of a return. I just think it's a big mistake not to entertain those conversations.
Well, here's the thing. I think that they're laying out the plan right now, and that is what they're going to go into this deadline with. However, I wouldn't be shocked to hear that maybe the Blue Jays are actually considering some Bassett offers, or maybe a Bichette, who knows, because you got Olney coming out here, Buster Olney, another MLB insider, coming out here and talking about how veteran pitchers like Chris Bassett, like we mentioned, Yusei Kikuchi, are 2 players that Olney thinks will be coveted on the trade market when talks start to heat up. And it's true, right? Look at a guy like Bassett who has been so consistent over his entire career.
Yeah, he's Mr. Consistent.
He's Mr. Consistent. You got another year of control. Any competitive team that's going to want to compete this year and next year is going to want a piece of Chris Bassett. And Olney says the market for starting pitcher right now is so little because all the teams that are selling don't have any good starting pitching, of course, whereas the Toronto Blue Jays, they do. So I feel like MLB executives are going to be coming to the Toronto Blue Jays, knocking on the door, trying to convince Ross Atkins to make that move. So don't be shocked if you do hear that narrative change the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, maybe we're hearing this stuff about, we're not trading away guys on the 2-year deal or anything like that because he is trying to up their value a little bit. I mean, that could be a thing. Maybe that's a little big brain for Ross Atkins.
Too big for Ross.
But, okay, maybe let's backpedal a little bit here and try to play devil's advocate. Is there any way that if we don't trade away those guys, right? If you do have Chris Bassett and Kevin Gausman and all of those guys, Bo Bichette, walking into 2025,
right?
I mean, is there any way that you look at that and you go, okay, we can actually run it back and we can do significantly better. Because I think I just keep coming back to the fact that there are so many holes on this team and on this roster right now that, like, okay, I want us to be competitive, but I feel like there's just so many problems that we have for us to be competitive in 2025.
Yeah.
Maybe you
talk.
talk.
I think if you look at the Toronto Blue Jays team, like the guys that you're talking about, and going back to this Mark Feinsand article, mentioned Guerrero, Bichette, Bassett, Romano, George Springer, Gossman, Barrios. That's the core of the team. Running it back with those guys, first of all, if you're just running it back with those guys, you need all of them to hit, which is going to be a very hard thing to do with a lot of them being a lot older. But another thing is, you have to go and you have to add even more. You can't just run back this roster.
Yeah.
You've got to add even more. And one actually executive presumes that they will actually strengthen this offseason. If they do decide to run it back, they're going to actually add a little bit more. But how much are they going to add? We know that they're only going to be adding $40 million worth of guys, and there's a lot of holes to fill up.
Yeah.
So you're going to be adding in guys like a Justin Turner, like a Kevin Kiermaier, like veteran guys. Now, is that going to be getting over the hump? I don't think so, and that's why I do think it is a mistake where you kind of have to punt next year, get more restocking into this farm system for next year.
Yeah, I mean, and we've heard that narrative before, right?
Yeah.
This past offseason, it was going to be a big-time ad, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
Yes, they were interested in Shohei Ohtani. That was a real thing that happened.
Right.
But at the end of the day, results don't lie. He went over to L.A., and then after that, you ended up getting, Kevin Kiermaier and Justin Turner and what have you, right? So that was supposed to be a big offseason, and nothing happened here. I think this is what we're watching right now is Ross Atkins being so committed to this core and this strategy that he's had that, like, he just refuses to see any other way through this. And I think that looking at this team, there's just so many inherent issues with it that you have to start entertaining trades of Chris Bassett and Bo Bichette, right? To look at a future with a Vladimir Guerrero Jr., right? Like maybe not even next year, but a year after that or 2 years after that. I just find it very difficult to believe that, sure, okay, you run it back with those guys, and all of a sudden, all of these problems and all of these holes and everything just rectify themselves, unless you do go out and you go crazy in the offseason and, sign a fucking Juan Soto or something, but they aren't going to do that.
Yeah.
It just feels like there's still, it feels like an inability of Ross Atkins to maneuver away from this idea.
Strategy.
Yeah, exactly.
This roster right now. Well, that brings up another great point. Another factor in all this is Ross Atkins. By trading away Bassett and Bo, Ross Atkins is basically saying the window is now officially closed, which a lot of us around the league are thinking, it looks like the Blue Jays window might be closed. Yes, they've been competitive in the last 5 years, but they haven't even won a single playoff game.
Right.
So with this core running it back, like, okay, you're supposed to be good, but you really haven't proved anything, and the window might already be closed. So Ross Atkins, to try to keep that window cracked open a little bit longer, may not end up selling those guys anyways.
That's the thing, right? I feel like this is ultimately just a way for him to try to keep his job. And that's something that I've been kind of echoing for a while right now. It's like, at this point, what you see with the Toronto Blue Jays, it might not be what's best for the team anymore. It's what's best for the longevity of Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro, right? Sometimes those two things align.
Oh, yeah.
But, there will also be times where it doesn't, because I think a lot of Toronto Blue Jays fans would say the best course of action moving forward would be a bigger sell because of the returns that you're going to get from Kevin Kiermaier, Justin Turner. They're just not enough to really restock and retool with. It feels like if we are going to not sell any of these big pieces, God forbid, it feels like Ross Atkins is not going to get fired this offseason.
Time for a quick shout out to Betway. Betway is the best place to make all of your sports bets on all of your favorite teams. Betway is also in collaboration with iGaming Ontario. Must be 19 years or older to participate. And guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
And that's that is the biggest mistake. If they go and they don't sell these guys and they try to run it back, and they give Ross Atkins another year of trying to fucking make this work, like, that is unacceptable.
Here's the thing. You bring up Mark Shapiro, made me think about this. If they ended up keeping Ross Atkins, they've already invested $400 million plus into the Rogers Center. Do they go even further into that investment and go, okay, if in order to make that investment really work out, we need a competitive team now? Do they invest more into the players' salaries and pay even more to try and make this work? Because that would be like definition of insanity.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like I don't know, maybe like if they do want to go crazy this offseason, like go for it. Like obviously I'm always here for it if you want to make some big time buys. I just don't want Ross Atkins at the helm. And if you know, he's making the active decisions that they're not going to be trading away any of these 2-year guys and that they do want to run it back in 2025, I'm okay with that, but it's starting to look increasingly more that he is going to be the guy that is navigating that. And that just can't be the case, folks. That can't happen.
And that's also another huge mistake from the Toronto Blue Jays standpoint, right? And I guess, look, in the next 3 weeks, by the way, guys, there's also like rumors out there that the trade conversations are going to start to pick up around just after the draft into the All-Star break. So, look, like, we're going to know soon what direction this Toronto Blue Jays team is going to take, whether they sell big or they conservatively sell. Then we're going to know what the team looks like moving forward.
Yeah. You guys let us know in the comments down below. What do you think about this? Do you think that some of the 2-year guys, maybe even the 3-year guys, should get moved? I obviously do think that should be the right course of action. But please let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Hit the like, smash the subscribe button, folks. Thank you so much for watching. And as always,
go Jays, go!